The cold bite of autumn air seeped into the car as Claire reluctantly veered off her usual path, her fingers tightening around the steering wheel. The road ahead was unfamiliar, a twisting line through the woods that seemed to stretch on endlessly. Her headlights carved through the dense fog, revealing only the skeletal remains of trees on either side. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the low hum of her engine.
Just keep going,
she muttered, trying to shake off the unease that clung to her like the mist. Her headlights caught a glimpse of a weathered sign. Hollow Hill, no through road. Claire frowned, unfamiliar with any place by that name. The GPS on her phone indicated a shortcut, but it seemed to lead deeper into the forest. With no room to turn back, she pressed on, the road narrowing further as if it were closing in. Her heart pounded against her chest. The sense of being watched was palpable, a sensation that refused to fade away. A shiver ran down Claire's spine as she glanced at the side mirror. There, at the edge of vision, stood a figure among the trees. Was it a man? She squinted, but the fog distorted everything, playing tricks on her eyes. The figure remained motionless, impossibly tall and thin, with limbs that stretched unnaturally.
It's just my imagination,
she reassured herself, though her hands shook on the wheel. As she sped through the twisting road, Claire's headlights briefly illuminated an abandoned house. Its windows were boarded up, and the roof sagged as if burdened by time. Despite her better judgment, she couldn't help but feel the house watching her. A loud thud echoed, pulling her attention back to the road. The figure, no longer in the trees, now stood directly before her, blocking her path. Claire's breath caught in her throat as she brought the car to a screeching halt. The figure was now unmistakable, an unnaturally tall man with a skeletal face, his skin stretched thin over hollow cheeks. His mouth was a gaping void, and his eyes were empty, soulless. Claire sat frozen, unable to tear her gaze away. The figure reached out, his bony fingers brushing against the glass. In that moment, she understood the horror that had locked eyes with her. Without warning, the car jolted forward, as if propelled by an unseen force. Claire blinked, disoriented. The figure was gone, the fog lifted. She was back on the familiar highway, the oppressive woods a distant memory. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she pulled into her driveway. But as she glanced in the rearview mirror, her heart skipped a beat. In the shadows of her driveway, the figure stood, silent, grinning, its hollow eyes fixed on hers. Then she realized the watcher was not bound to the woods. It had followed her home, intertwining her fate with its own.